Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today for this session on fast tracking your data warehouse modernization journey. We're excited to see such strong participation from data leaders, architects, and engineers who are actively thinking about the future of their analytics platforms. Many organizations know their data warehouse needs to modernize, but struggle with speed, risk, and complexity. Today's session is about how to break the cycle. Over the next 30 minutes, our experts will show how leading enterprises are accelerating their migrations to Databricks SQL using a proven, repeatable approach. We are joined today by an experienced panel comprising Vishal Vibhande, Partner Solutions Architect at Databricks, who works closely with enterprises migrating from legacy platforms to modern lakehouse architectures. Bhargava Ramadas, who leads data and analytics at Ness Digital Engineering and has driven large scale data modernization programs for Fortune 500 enterprises. And Mata Prasad Agrawal, who is the chief architect at Ness with 2 decades of hands on experience designing and modernizing complex data platforms. Before we begin, a few quick housekeeping items to help everyone get the most out of today's session. Use the chat to submit your questions at any time, and we'll address them during the final Q&A segment. This session is being recorded, and the recording will be shared with registered attendees. Stay until the end, and we'll share practical next steps and details on a pro bono migration assessment. Let's get started with a quick overview of why modernization has become imperative and what's at stake if we don't act now. Over to you, Bhargava.
Everyone, thank you for joining the session today. Let me start off with something you really don't often hear in these sessions. Teradata, Oracle, Netezza, they were all masterpieces. They were built to last, right? These platforms powered some of the most complex enterprise data operations in the world for the last 2 to 3 decades, right? Brilliant platforms ran enterprises for decades. Those decisions of choosing these platforms taken those days were right. But the world has changed. The platforms didn't fail, but the assumptions expired, right? We see three shifts: volume exploded, latency collapsed, and AI has arrived. It's not optional, it's foundational. Legacy warehouses weren't built for that. So why modernize? Four different pressures, all compounding. I mean, this is what we see at our client locations that we have worked, that we are working, and then some customers we are talking to. Performance, which is basically a fixed capacity. Scale means overpaying or waiting, so time lost. Cost grows every year, 15 to 30%, depending on the platform that you have, regardless of the value that you can get out of these platforms. AI, not native for these platforms. Everything becomes a workaround or a bolt-on, and you're locked in. It's proprietary everything, and talent is walking away from these legacy skills and moving into next-gen skills. So the costs up, performance cap, AI slowed, time to make decisions not fast, talent is shrinking. None of this improves by waiting. So the question is no longer should we modernize? That question is done. The question is actually how do you actually do it without disruption? This is where reality matters. This is not lift and shift. Each platform is different. Each platform has their own nuances. Oracle, heavy logic, needs redesign, not translation. Teradata, scale, scripts, BTEC, TPT, hundreds of workloads to move. Netezza, subtle risk, easiest of all the three other platforms. Queries run, results can be wrong. You still see results, but the results can be wrong. So the complexity is real, but it's known. and known complexity is solvable with the right approach. So the real question is, how do you move fast without breaking trust? We'll show you how that all comes together, including our AI driven accelerator NETUNIS today. But first, I pass over to Vishal, who's partner solution architect from Databricks, to share his perspective on what's driving modernization and how does Databricks see this in the market and how are they helping solve these challenges at scale. Vishal, over to you.
Thank you, Bhargav, for bringing up those challenges with legacy data warehouses. And those are the exact challenges that even we do see from all of our customers. Costs are rising. There is no default AI infused. There's no unification of the platform. Governance is still a challenge. Openness of the formats, vendor lock in, all of those are essentially the challenges that we do as well see. And let me walk you through how Databricks exactly solves all of these challenges and helps customers migrate from their legacy platforms over to modern platforms such as Databricks. The very first thing about Databricks, it's all built on open formats: Delta Lake, Iceberg, Spark, Postgres. So there's going to be no vendor lock-in. There's going to be no hardware lock-in for the customers. There is no proprietary data format in which your data is going to get stored. So the very first challenge of being openness, Databricks definitely address it as its base component. Second biggest challenge is a unified governance across your entire data estate. Not just your data, structured data, but also your unstructured data, all the files that reside in your data estates, your machine learning models, your AI agents, and everything that is part of your data estate. All of those components are completely governed by Unity Catalog, of full grown uh, product on Databricks. Does auditing of your assets. You can do access controls, role based, attribute based. You get to see full lineage, data discovery, observability, all of the features which a modern enterprise data governance should have. All of those are there in Unity Catalog. On top of it, we built Lakehouse, which is our data warehousing platform, which essentially provides you much dramatic lower TCO. So total cost of ownership definitely reduces by adopting to the data warehousing on Databricks. Most of these legacy data warehouses have coupled, very tightly coupled storage and compute. But Databricks' elastic cloud native model delivers proven savings. The platform is completely unified, which means you can bring in structured data, unstructured data, you can do data engineering, data warehousing, build your machine learning models, build your AI agents. So you don't really have to look at multiple different platforms, but just do everything on one single platform. And the third thing really is about the performance and elastic scalability. As you mentioned, Bhargav, like EDW appliances hit scaling walls because they're tightly coupled with their storage, compute, memory. The Databricks scales elastically, and that essentially solves that challenge as well. Another challenge that you mentioned is about AI. Databricks has AI with enterprise context. It's built in each and every product of Databricks. Genie essentially is a tool or a product that lets your enterprise users talk to your data in their natural language and see the results directly from there. That way, they don't have to have knowledge about programming languages or even SQL or anything else. They can just communicate with their data in their natural language. Databricks also provides a platform to build your own agents if you want to do DIY kind of agents, or if you want to rely on agents developed by Databricks. We have Agent Bricks platform, which has information extraction, knowledge assistant, a multi-agent supervisor to supervise multiple of your agents. And the last leg in your consumption really is all of your BI, your dashboards, and things like that. Databricks also provides a platform for that. We have AI assisted BI, using which you can build dashboards directly within Databricks itself. Again, your data will not move, still governed by Unity Catalog, and you still stay within Databricks to do all of those things. And the last one really is building any custom application, custom web applications. You can develop those, deploy those directly on the Databricks platform and use Lakebase, which is our serverless Postgres offering. You can use that as your backend RDBMS, or a transactional database as well. All of these benefits essentially solves these challenges that you really mentioned, Bhargav, earlier. And really, we get to see a much modern platform which customers can definitely rely on. And with that, I'll pass on to Mata to see how Ness's NETUNIS product has built in all of these capabilities. We'll see that in a deep dive now.
Okay, thank you, Vishal. Hi everyone. So I'm going to talk about NETUNIS. So this is the platform or a set of accelerators that we have built. It has many things, but one of the things that I am going to walk you through is about the migration assistant. As we are living in the agentic AI world, this is a mix of LLM-based code converters as well as a nice blend of data engineering solutions. So this NETUNIS migration assistant, is built around three accelerators, which is assessment. Any migration or the modernization journey you start, I'm talking about a large scale modernization. It is extremely important to capture the detailed level of the inventory. Okay, so assessment comes very crucial. So for this, we have one agent which actually calls internally a tool, which actually gets the automated inventory from the metadata. No data is required for collection of the inventory. Second is a repeatable code converter component, which is again a mix of rule based as well as LLM based. We fall back to LLM only when it's a very complex and which requires complex convergence. It falls back to the LLMs for the doing the convergence. And after the conversion is done, we don't stop it there. Most of the tools that you see in the market, they stop it at the conversion, but we also work on something called as action verification or the post validation. This verifies, and it's like a get diff where you can see the how your code is getting converted. So this particular NETUNIS migration assistant works at completely metadata layer, and it is flexible set of tools which any automation suite can plug it into it. Okay, so in any modernization at scale that you can think of, there is a lot of synergies are required from multiple teams. So like the customers, the Ness team, as well as the team who are actually doing the conversion, which is data architects as well as data engineers, plus the expert review. So people who have rich experience in data analytics systems, they can come and validate if the LLMs are failing at any cost, because we know that LLMs are non-deterministic in nature. So this is the process map that we follow and we recommend for doing any of the large scale migrations. Very first thing is gathering the inventory and preparing the metadata. So this is completely automated. This is completely rule based. Okay, and this is mix of manual plus human in the loop approach, where the customer as well as the Ness is involved. Second is the analysis. So analysis is completely automated. You can run, very complex. So we had one customer who was running, who was having 15,000 Teradata SQL and TPT and BTEC scripts. So this analysis component could run the entire analysis and give it detailed reports within few minutes of time. The third is a conversion, which is non-deterministic in nature because it hits the LLMs, and it actually does the code conversion. This is a lengthy component because it is actually doing the hard work, and this is the main brain of the automation. The fourth is we bring in the experts or the reviewers who look at the code converted and they tweak the rules for a given subject area, and the automation process of at step number 3 could be repeated. Okay, so this is a repeatable migration. I mean, you can also checkpoint it at a point in time, and you can revert it back to a state and then you restart the migrations. Okay. The fifth is a unit test, which is not AI powered, which is not rule based, but it's a automation that we have to build based on the case or the binding which is at the question. The last step is validation, and this is the most critical step, in doing any data system validation. When the data is moving from the old legacy system to the new systems, we need to make sure that every single row, every single column is matching, and different data types have no issues after the migration. Okay, and once it is done, we expect the promotion of the code base or the artifacts to the QA branch and then to the higher environment. So this is the entire process map of how we follow or recommend for our customers for doing very large scale modernizations. With this, I'll start the demo part of it. This is the login page of the NETUNIS. So the NETUNIS, as I mentioned, it's a suite of accelerators. It is available in two flavors. One is a web version. The second is a CLI version. The web version is what I am going to demonstrate right now. I'm logging with a demo user. Once we log in, we see three panels over here. One is dashboard, which is the main page. Then the second is the projects, where we can create the projects of the migration, and the settings. Okay, settings are the different knobs that we give to customers or the data migration team, where they can play with the with the systems. So in the dashboard, I'm going to create a new project. Okay, as Vishal mentioned, we are going to talk about the pluggable or the composable stack. So here, very first time when you start a project, okay, you uh, specify the project name so that you know that. So I'm going to run a migration now from Teradata to Databricks. Okay, I'm just giving some number. And here you can see different source systems are available right from Oracle. All of these are data warehousing systems. In Teradata, we support three flavors: Teradata SQL, Teradata BTEC, basic Teradata query, as well as Teradata parallel transporter, Netezza, and so on, DB2. So NetUnis is not, it's a full-blown suite of accelerators. It not only supports data warehouse and SQL-based systems, it also supports ETL tools. It also supports legacy HDFS and high queries, and also the latest and greatest Tableau workflows and Alteryx workflows. Okay, the target system that we support is Databricks SQL, Databricks Notebook. So one of the customer that I was talking about, so they wanted to use directly Databricks, directly create the Databricks notebooks right from using the REST API. So this is that flavor available. So here I am going to select Teradata for this particular conversion. I'll select Databricks SQL, and I'll say next step. Here the users can actually upload the inventory, which is a metadata, or they can actually connect to a JDBC database source, providing the credentials. Within the file upload, they can also connect to the cloud storage. Here we support right now Amazon S3 as well as Azure ADLS, and they can specify the bucket path. I'm going to specify the local file storage, which is available on my computer right now. So let me select a couple of files. So as you can see, two files have been ingested into this particular project. I'll go to the projects. This is the project that we created. It's Teradata SQL to Databricks SQL conversion. It is in a initialized state. These are the two agents which have been automatically enabled for us. One is run analyzer, run converter. So I'm going to run analyzer, which is a completely deterministic component, and it runs blazingly fast. So as you can see, it has already finished and processed two files. Okay. Since the converter is going to hit the LLMs, I'm going to kickstart it. And in the meantime, it runs. I'm going to walk you through the analyzer output for this particular project. As you can see, there are two files that we ingested. It has captured the inventory at a high level, plus it has some more charts. So think of this like, if anybody has zero knowledge about the legacy system, this tool has given the entire inventory analysis in no time. Okay. So this is the first summary, where we can see the different statement types in this particular migration. We can see different data flow volumes, how many reads, how many writes are happening, okay, which are the sources and the targets. We can also see the complexity score distribution. So this is one of the cool features of this particular tool, wherein it captures the score, which is very quantifiable based on certain parameters. And here you can also see the table count. So in these two particular two files, you can see the table counts for these files. Okay. Dependency analysis is another important chart which is generated. Now think of, you have 10,000, 15,000 files where we ran for this particular customer. So this talks about, this particular table is having two downstream consumers. Okay. So knowing your downstream and upstream dependencies and the number of data flows that you see over here is extremely important for doing, your PI planning or migration planning. Similarly, we can also see the complexity sinks. So here you can see this particular work table has 9 upstream dependencies. Okay, and these all knobs are configurable. Top 20, you can as you can see, the converter has already completed. We'll come to converter in couple of minutes. This is the detailed log of the entire lineage analysis that it has captured. Plus, it has not only captured all the details, but it is also suggesting you a set of migration waves. So, as for this particular customer, it has suggested more than 500 waves of migration. What it means is, we can actually do a migration for this bunch of objects together. Okay. You can also see the data flow statistics. You can see the top 10 targets, which I need to target first. Then we can see the out degree analysis. We can also see the unique data flow lineage path. So this is talking about, there are 11 such paths available. This is the source and this is the target. Okay. So person like me, who has zero knowledge about the source system, you can get the entire analysis done in no time. Okay. Here you can see the table level details. For this particular table, it has captured the insert delete statements. These are the upstream dependencies where it reads the data from. These are the targets which it is writing to. So here it is not writing to any target table. So basically it is doing some processing. We can also see the graphical view of the same detail. So here you can see that these vertical bars are nothing but tables. And for this particular blue table, it is reading from so many tables and writing it to this particular table. Okay, this is another way to visualize and give it to the junior developers. Hey, these are the dependencies that you need to first work upon. We can also visualize the lineage chart. So you just click on any one particular table and you can see the objects it is targeting to. So here you can see that it is writing to this. You click on this particular object and you can see how many objects it is reading from and writing to. Okay, so this particular table is an intermediate table, and this is the inventory that it has captured. Now imagine that you have captured 4,000, 5,000 kind of very granular workflows, which helps you doing a right estimation. Now let me go to the converter log. So we had ingested 2 files and 2 files are converted. There are no errors that it has found. If there are any errors, those would be flagged over here with some certain reasoning. So here I'm looking at this particular file, and as you can see, this is the source system, which is Teradata. This is the target Databricks SQL, and you can see some of the constructs which are specific to Teradata has been nicely eliminated in the target, and it has also given the comments why it has removed this particular with the reasoning. Okay, so for this particular customer, when we ran this, so as you can see, entire SQL is nicely converted. We got 98% accuracy and the coverage for this thing. Some of the things which we were not able to convert, they were left to the humans and the expert to review it and finalize it. Okay, so these 2 files have been converted over here. Now we don't stop it at that particular point in time. We come here and now you can see the third tool is enabled, which is run validator. So it is going to run the validator and it is going to compare the source and the target. Now take it to the scale. Now you have thousands of files, and it is very laborious for any human to validate individual files. So now you can see the accuracy viewer. It has been enabled. The overall accuracy is 100% in this particular case because we wanted to pass only the simple and medium complex files, but you can pass any number of the files. And you can see at a summary level, it has captured the summary statistics. There is a detailed level and the report which talks about semantic or structural complexities, like how many tables, how many columns, and the joins. Whether any business logic is violated. If there is a business logic violation, then it will give a warning. And then the performance statistics. Okay, there is also a knob available where we can do an optimization of the SQLs if required. We can see the file level statistics as well, the same thing which is available in the detailed charts. Okay, so this is the suite of 3 accelerators. Now once the conversion is done, now let's look at how it looks into the Databricks. Okay, so for this particular customer, where we had more than 15,000 Teradata files, so the entire flow, which was not just the SQL files, we converted into the Databricks notebooks directly using Databricks APIs. So these are the 3 warehouses which we have migrated over here, and you can see that the notebook is nicely converted. Okay, so here you can see some of the migration statistics as well. The migration notes, some of the comments at the time of migration. If if this particular stored procedure or SQL is using any of the parameters, it will talk about that as well. And yeah, as you can see, most of the code is kind of production ready, and it is only some few adjustments. So for this particular customer, we had to do 6% adjustments out of the 15,000 files that they ingested, and our tool could identify 4,500 very granular workflows. Okay, here you can see the definitions or the functions in PySpark has been nicely converted into. And this is a pretty much long notebook, and with little bit of adjustment, the workflow or the notebook got succeeded in 20 seconds. Okay, so that is the kind of automation that we could achieve using this NETUNIS suite of tools. It is completely flexible, and it is pluggable, and it supports Databricks, which has composable stacks right from catalog level to query engines, as we shall talk about. Okay. With that, I'll move on to the slides. Okay, so this was a demo about the NETUNIS and the suite of accelerators. I'm happy to take up any questions that the audience may have for.
Thank you, Mata, for walking us through the approach and the platform. We'll now move into the Q&A segment, where we'll address some of the questions we've received from the audience. The first question is, Databricks offers LakeBridge as part of its migration tooling. How does NETUNIS differentiate itself from other migration solutions available in the market?
Yeah, let me take this up, Saranga. So it's a great question. So LakeBridge and NETUNIS, they are, I would say, complementary tools. We are not competing against LakeBridge over here, but there are some subtle differences that I would like to highlight. One is NETUNIS not only has the SQL bindings, it also has a few full suite of migration accelerators, right from ETL tools, BI tools, as well as the TPT and the BTEC scripts, which are for Teradata. And it is also a mix of deterministic and LLM-based tooling, as well as a human-in-the-loop approach. So we have a lot of experts around these systems, who can actually bring their reviews and handle the complexities. Another thing is, it is apart from this tool, we also have a test harness, which is used for the actual data validation, metadata validation. And basically, this particular tool is hardened in various instances. So I would like to highlight a couple of instances. One is, we did a large-scale migration modernization from Teradata to Databricks PySpark for one of the largest insurance customer in Eastern Europe. The second was, semiconductor company based out of US, where we did, migration from their legacy platform, Oracle, as well as Teradata to Databricks. So those are the two instances where we have acquired a lot of good amount of coverage as well as accuracy. So those are the few points that, we'll have to keep it in mind while choosing a tool.
Next up, we have, what are the key differentiators for NETUNIS?
Yeah, so the key differentiators over here is, as I mentioned, the pluggable LLM, you can have it, and you can also bring in, let's say, LakeBridge. So, any tool that you may have as in the enterprises, we suggest an ensemble kind of a model wherein you do the convergence from multiple tools. Okay, and the scale of migration is another unique differentiator for this. It is hardened to handle that kind of scale and the complexity. And as I mentioned, right, it is flexible tool, so you can within no time you can do the convergence and bring your own rules to the table and modify as per your requirements.
Okay, and the next question we have is, how is NETUNIS licensed?
So I can take that question. Great question. NETUNIS is not a product, right? It's not licensed. It comes along with services, right? So you engage us to solve any problem or use case you may have in terms of migration or any other problem statement that you have. We bring in this accelerator. We call it an accelerator, not a product, as part of our service. So there is no license involved in this.
Thank you, Bhargav. Our next question is, what are the customer concerns about migrating from a legacy warehouse to a modern platform?
I can take that up. Very common question that we hear from customers are the most common, of course, is migration is too risky, too long. But that's where the tools like NETUNIS or even LakeBridge comes into picture, which can do entire analysis, conversion, validation, end-to-end life cycle of the migration is taken care of, which essentially reduces the risk as well as the time to production can be significantly reduced. Other one is around governance. Customers have built their own governance around warehouses. How does it really translate it when it moves to Databricks? Unity Catalog is the answer there, which takes care of your end-to-end governance with auditing, access controls, lineage, and all the steps that are involved there. And the third one really is we don't have Spark or Python skills. Our team is SQL only. So again, the answer there is once you use the tool like NETUNIS, everything, the whole conversion is taken care for you, and the target platform, which is Databricks, is 100% SQL compatible. So SQL Warehouse and Databricks can take care of all of the SQL needs. You don't really need to have much knowledge about Python or Scala, Java, or other programming languages to migrate the data warehouses over to Databricks. So I would say these two or three are the key challenges that we do.
Thank you, Vishal. We're coming up on time, so we'll pause the Q&A here. If we didn't get to your question today, please feel free to reach out, and we'd be happy to continue the conversation offline. Let us now summarize on the key takeaways.
Thank you, Saranga, and hope everybody enjoyed the session and had some learnings. Right, for us, every day is a learning. Different customers, different industries, different use cases. So this really is your playbook, right? You start with clarity, know what to move, and most importantly, what not to move. Use of AI and automation. So with NETUNIS, all that is embedded into it. So you remove the guesswork. You learn as you go. So there is a feedback. You feed that back into NETUNIS. It keeps learning. So it's AI based. So leverage that. And most importantly, this is where we think a lot of migrations fail. Right? It's not because of technology, not because of tools. Right? It's getting business team, tech team, and come together because speed doesn't come from tools alone, right? It needs collaboration. It needs alignment between these teams, right? So if you get this right, modernization stops being a risk and starts becoming an advantage. Right? That's what we have seen at many customers, and we'll be happy to help you guys with. So where do you start, right? You really don't start big, right? You start smart, not small. You start smart. Access what you have. Run a small sample through NETUNIS. You see the translation. You see the effort. You see the outcome, and then you basically spin up a trial, benchmark it yourself. Right? It's all kind of we can help you. We can when you are ready, you just bring us in, and we'll guide you through the process. Right? Because this doesn't have to be a multi-year leap like Vishal talked about. It can be a series of confident steps that you take. Sooner you start, the faster you get ahead and beat the competition, right? So that's what I wanted to kind of have as part of the key takeaways. So as a follow-up, we have a session, next webinar coming up on AI/BI for analytics, Databricks AI/BI, Genie. That's keep watching this space. It's going to happen probably in the next couple of weeks. And if you guys are attending the Databricks Data and AI Summit, that's happening in West Coast, June 15th to 18th, we're all there. So happy to have conversations with you, your teams, and go deeper into what NETUNIS does, what Databricks offers, and work with you guys to migrate out of legacy. Thank you everyone for joining. Look forward to seeing you guys again on the next webinar and at Data AI Summit.
Thank you, speakers, and thank you to everyone who joined us today. We hope this session gave you clarity and confidence on how to approach data warehouse modernization in a faster, lower risk, and more predictable way. If you are evaluating your next step, we encourage you to take advantage of our complimentary migration assessment. The sign up link has been shared in the chat. Thank you once again for your time and engagement. We look forward to continuing the conversation and supporting you on your modernization journey.
Thank you all.